So DryJET-THERMAL, it's a freezer door protection, that's what it is. It protects the door from thermal loss. That thermal loss is really costly to clientele, and it creates other difficulties. When a doorway is open in a freezer, the buoyancy of the air inside the freezer moves out, and that obviously moves into the receiving and dispatch area or surrounding area. It freezes the floor, creates fog, creates condensation. From a safety perspective, you have forklifts slipping on water, slipping on ice. It is HACCP, so in other words, that's food safety. So therefore, no water on the product, no water on the ceiling, no ice on the product, no ice on the ceiling. A big open doorway, which is typical of 4.5 by 2.5 meter doorway, which is normally the reach truck door, and that's typically the size of every door inside low temperature freezers, is 5 cubic meters of air per second for a differential of -20 inside to 10 degrees outside. That's a lot of air, and that air is obviously conditioned at -20, and it's costly when that is lost into the environment. So it moves a vector of air at high velocity across the door, breaking the buoyancy vector of the cold air from the freezer. In a graphic, the hot air, which is from outside, moves above the cold air in a counterflow arrangement going up to the ceiling, while the cold air, which comes from the freezer, flows directly underneath the hot air outside into the warmer environment. So that buoyancy effect occurs because the freezer air is cold and heavy and weighs more than the warmer air outside the freezer. So DryJET-THERMAL protects the freezer from thermal loss. DryZONE and DryZONE-PLUS protects the freezer from moisture gain. So vapor pressure is the weight and pressure of water molecules inside the air that want to force themselves into the surrounding environment to establish equilibrium. Inside a freezer which is -20, you have very low vapor pressure at about 70 pascals, whereas a receiving dispatch area at 90% humidity, which is typical, that's about 700 pascals of vapor pressure. So that 700 pascals wants to force itself inside the freezer. So DryZONE-PLUS and DryZONE as systems and as patents as well, they look after the protection of the freezer from moisture. That means that the freezer remains completely dry and ice-free.
We installed dehumidification equipment, and immediately within a day or two it sublimated all the ice buildup. We were having endless problems on that. The doors, the clear visibility of being able to see right through the doors. What we find with our strip curtains full of oil from the forklifts, they hinder your progress and access through the door. So for us to be able to go through the plenum, a high traffic zone, is really a great safety factor. But on the initial freezer that we built, we didn't put it on. I'm happy to say that the capex for that has been approved, and that it's definitely something that we can't do without in a -25 environment.